Welcome to Bible for Overcomers. You know, I was thinking the other day, there are two things which the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, present, which the epistles, the rest of the New Testament, do not present as strongly. And I had never really thought about this before. Jesus talked a lot. I mean, more than heaven. He talked about hell, and he was very graphic about hell. And some of those passages go on a little bit. And that's not, something that we want to teach, preach, speak about, but it is a reality. But when I look at the epistles talk about perdition, destruction from the presence of the Lord. It certainly backs up what the Gospels say, but it doesn't get into the graphic, discussions about outer darkness and fire and all of this. It's not a contradiction. It's just that's one thing that Jesus, the four books of the Gospels, brings out quite a bit, that the epistles seem to go on from in the faith, and they don't speak about it quite as much. I just thought that was interesting. The other one, and before I move on, I know Jude, that one chapter, hard-hitting book before Revelation, is probably about the closest you'll get in the that I can think of offhand in the epistles to what Jesus was speaking about when it comes to destruction. Then secondly, the thief in the night coming. Now I ran this on a concordance once with my King James, and it came out 14 or 15 times where the word watch was applied, where specifically it spoke about, and Jesus was the one who said it, about his coming, and those 15 warnings about watch, and 7 about thief in the night coming. I come as a thief, behold, I come as a thief. All this, every single one of those are directed to the believers, not to the world, to believers. I don't hear that anywhere in church today, not in many churches, maybe in your church, but in the majority in general, no, not at all. Christians think they have nothing to worry about, and they can be half in the world and be in love with the world system. I'm not saying don't enjoy life. I can look at Ecclesiastes and see that every, pleasures, good things that come from God, that don't contradict the faith, these things are from God, and we are to enjoy it. Every good and perfect gift comes down from above, from the Father of lights, with whom is neither variableness nor shadow of turning. So we want to enjoy that. But I notice, though, that these two things, hell and its in graphic descriptions, and then the thief in the night coming, are not emphasized through the epistles. And of course, in Thessalonians it says, "You know perfectly, brethren, that the day of the Lord comes as a thief." So there's no contradiction. I just thought that it's interesting, and then I began to think how little of those four Gospels are preached. Oh, they might get into the Sermon on the Mount, but even there's verses they wouldn't touch. There's absolutely verses they wouldn't touch in the last part of the Sermon on the Mount. But the rest of the four Gospels, they don't really, most churches, and I speak from experience, having been through many of these churches, they don't preach a lot about, but they want to be all in the epistles, and that's great. But we have to at least take the entire New Testament, and we should have a good working understanding of the Old Testament as we mature in the faith. When I was a young Christian, I didn't know anything. It was so easy to be snatched up by a cult or whatever, but thank God, God encouraged me to get in the Word of God. He encouraged me through other brethren, as I'm trying to encourage you to get into the Word of God more and more, so you will know what is right and what is wrong. Like the church at Berea in the book of Acts, it says these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they searched the Scriptures daily, seeing if these things were so. By the way, did you notice that it says they searched the Scriptures? Do you really think that they had the original Isaiah? Did they have the original Gospel of Matthew? Was that even written at that time? No. They had the Word of God. So you didn't need to worry about originals. They had what was already penned at that time, and it is called the Word of God. It is called the Scriptures. So they search the Scriptures daily to see if these things be so. So I just thought that was interesting, the two things that are really emphasized, and then I sort of connected that to why many churches don't like to hang in those 4 gospel books that much. And that's all I got, just something to think about. Like it says in Psalm, Selah, or think about these things. Take care.